Everything okay? Hey,
Yeah, you hear me?
sounds good. I can hear you well.
All right, and you gotta click through the presentation.
I can, or you can do it yourself. We have it set up for
Oh,
that.
okay.
Whatever
Okay,
you
cool.
prefer.
I can do it. Yeah.
But I will be here and I'll also be watching the chat for you.
All right.
And maybe just 2 more minutes and we'll go
All
ahead and
right.
start. Awesome.
Sounds good.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be starting, I guess now in a minute. So last stretch, last call. I was using Spotify, and of course, it went to ads right then. So it's like, here's 2 minutes of silence just for everybody.
hmm
So, all right, everyone, welcome. Thank you for coming. We'd like to welcome everyone today to the session of video games in the public library. And today's presenter is Haley Lee, and I'll let her tell us a little bit about herself. As you are sitting here and listening to Haley, if you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box. To get to the chat box, if you haven't used Blackboard before, in the lower right-hand corner, there's purple arrows. If you click on that, it opens up a panel. And in that panel, you'll see a text bubble. And that's where you would click on, and you can do your texts. Next to that are the attendees. And so you could see them and actually communicate to them if you wanted to as well. So, Haley, thank you so much for being here and taking all the time that you did to prep your presentation for us. And
Yeah.
I'm going to turn the screen over to you.
All right. One more thing, Amy. I think maybe you might have to click through the slides because I've got the uh, animations. I don't think it's going to do the animations from my end. Um, oh, okay. Well, anyway, so my name is Haley Lee, and I work at Warren County Public Library. I have been working here for about 5 years, and I have done video game-based programming at the library for almost 3 years now. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started and talk to you about why you should incorporate video games into programming at your library. You'll go ahead and go to the next slide. So the first big question you might be asking is why video games? Video games have had a long have had a a lot of controversy over the years. Um, hold on, has had a lot of controversy about if they're trash or if they've just caused kids to be that they don't help kids at all and that they cause violence among society. Well, I'm not going to get too much into that. I'm going to talk to you about the benefits real quickly. So first off, there are a lot of kids, tweens, and teens that already enjoy video games, and so that's a large pool you can use already to get people interested. And video games are they have a very unique way of storytelling that a lot of like books and movies can't do. Go ahead and go to the next slide. Players take on the role of a character, and just they control the story based on their own. They have to actively work towards moving the plot forward. They take on the role of the character, and this image here is of Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, and I love what the creator said of the game. He said, "I want players to be able to look at a mountain or someplace on the map, and they wanted to go to that mountain. And nothing's going to stop that player. They just have to work themselves to get there. Next, and it gives them a chance to explore something new. This next images is of Castle St. Angelo. The image on the right is the modern day picture of it, and the picture on the left is from a video game called Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and this is of the 16th century version of this place. Assassin's Creed has got mixed reviews, but a lot of critics will still agree that it is a very historically pretty accurate video game, and it really gives players the chance to experience what it's like to explore the streets of 16th century Rome. And it helps them give a better image in the history class of what those eras are like. So a lot of video games do try to be as historically accurate as it can, and it can spark a lot of kids to continue their own education. I've had some students come in and they wanted, one kid came in and he wanted a biography of Napoleon. And I was asking him what sparked his interest, and he was telling me he was playing some war simulation game, and he played as the commander Napoleon, and so he just wanted to learn more. So you always have to give credit when something can spark a kid for wanting to learn more on their own. Next slide, please. And video games have come a long way in representing diversity. And it has even gone even further with covering mental health diversity. This video game here is called Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. It is an action-based hack and slash game. And this is just a story of Senua, a Celtic woman in the 6th century, going on a journey to hell in order to save her love's soul. The twist of this game, though, is that she's actually suffering from psychosis. She has auditory and visual hallucinations, so everything she's seeing isn't real. And it has amazing sound design that if you're using headphones, you'll hear voices coming from behind you or the side. You just don't know what's real in her world. And this game has just opened up the video game industry and just made people realize that that there's a need for mental health representation. Because before, for a lot of people, they didn't really have anything that they could point to, be like, yeah, that's what this is like for us. I could just go on and on about Hellblade. It is just a fantastic game, and I have yet to see psychosis or any kind of mental health be portrayed so accurately in a movie or a book. And it's just fascinating to think what mental health would be like back in a time when we still use leeches for most of our health problems. All right. Next one. Now, not all video games need to have these amazing 3D graphics. Some can be very simple 2D. This game right here is called Valiant Hearts. It is a side-scrolling puzzle game, and it tells the story of the Great War. It was released in 2014, and it has won numerous awards for being the best narrative, and has depictions of things that happened in the Great War, and has all these artifacts that you find that gives you more information. But yeah, I found this game very informative because, when I was in school, we learned about World War I. However, I do remember I learned it more from an American's perspective. This video game definitely gives more of a European perspective of the Great War. So this was very helpful, and I learned a lot more facts than I did in any textbook. All right. And next, video games. If you do a video game programming, it is a great chance for kids to interact with each other that have the same interests. Especially helpful, in Warren County here, we have 5 different school districts, so a lot of these kids will never get the chance to interact with one another. So this is a great opportunity for them to meet other kids with the same interests. And I've also seen gaming programs very useful after we've had shutdown, and the kids not being in school. I had a lot of parents tell me that their kids were very happy not to be able to leave their room. And so whenever I started doing Game On again, my gaming program after we started going back to in session play things, some kids like going to a gaming club was sort of the first thing they've been excited about leaving their room for. So this is a great opportunity for them. And there's also a whole lot of much needed skills that can be learned from video games. And I'm not talking about the hand-eye coordination or anything. That is to be debated. But what I really think is more concrete is the following, like losing and winning gracefully. I've had a lot of tears in my gaming program. I've had kids get their feelings hurt that they lost. And I've also had kids who just do not know the proper way to celebrate them winning. So having a gaming program is a great way to model proper behavior for those. Team building is another great skill. There's a lot of co-op games that forces kids to start communicating with one another, to beat a puzzle, and going along with that communication. Like I said, being able to communicate with one another. But this is also important to sort of similar to public speaking. While they may not be giving a professional presentation like this, it can be pretty nerve-wracking, especially for a very shy teen, to get up in front of their peers and show off their skills. I've seen a lot of kids that in my game program, I'll have a game on the big screen, and they don't want to play in front of other people because they're afraid of being judged for their skill, even if they might be good at the game. So I've seen them slowly start feeling comfortable to put themselves out there. Problem solving, there's a lot of video games that require you to solve puzzles in order to move on. Legend of Zelda is a great example of being a problem solving game. Resource management, there are a lot of video games that use that, and those have always been my favorite types. Games like Harvest Moon, Elder Scrolls, where you are gathering materials. You may or may not have ability to, like, a limited thing to carry. You got to decide what to sell, what to get rid of, what to save for crafting, what to save for an emergency. And that very much has translated to how I do my crafts and stuff, and what I need to keep and all that. So that's definitely come in handy. And patience is another great thing to learn from playing video games. Yes, patience for like taking turns and waiting for loading screen to go. But another definition of patience can be used as waiting and doing something unpleasant before you can move on to do something you want. And nothing better describes that than grinding. And for those who don't know, grinding is when you're just doing something very mundane over and over again to get more experience points or skill points for your character, so that way you can beat the boss. And I am embarrassed to even think about how many hours I've spent grinding, and I will not talk about that. But like I said, I've seen some kids who are very, very mellow, and they can definitely withstand a lot of waiting. All right, moving on to the next slide. So this is my program at Warren County Public Library. We call it Game On, and it's basically just a gamers club. Typically, we meet 3 times a month now, and as you see here, this setup, I like to make different stations. So I have a group of boys playing on the computers, another group over on the far end playing on a console on the big screen, and then on the left, I have some people playing board games. And this is a great setup. It helps us keep them separated, and especially like if you got some kids that might be a little sensitive to noise or overstimulation, you can help push them to another side, so that way they don't get too distracted. And it's also really good to have these different stations, so that way no one's bored. If like something's not working out, then they can go to another one. For an example, I tried introducing a computer program one day on Game On called Twine. And Twine is a free computer program where you can develop your own, choose your own adventure game. You do coding. Warren County likes to do a lot of coding activities, so I thought this would be a good tie-in. It was a failure. No one went to the computers. They all went to the board games. And you know you did something wrong when teenage boys would much rather play a board game than the computers. But thankfully I brought those board games and had that station so they weren't bored for an hour. All right, now to go on to the next one, big events with little efforts. My favorite thing by far to do in Game On are tournaments. Uh, they are so much fun and they're made of low stress but competitive environment. And there's very little prep you have to do for these. All you gotta do is just have the game and advertise it. And then the kids come themselves. Sometimes they'll bring their friends because it's such a big thing. I'll have the kids come in, they write their names or their gamer tags because I do model these after what gaming tournaments are like in like gaming conventions and stuff. So I let them use their gamer tags as what they refer to themselves like when they play games or something. And so far I've had no issues with kids putting anything inappropriate because they know that if they do, I won't read it and they can't play. So that's been a good system so far. And so then we'll just do a bracket system. Now the image of the boy with the circle on his head, he was my winner from the last one. Thankfully at Warren County I have an Idea Lab, so I was able to make a little plastic plaque in order to give it to the winner. And it's just something like worth nothing. It's just a plastic thing that says winner on it with the logo. But all the kids want to try and win it, and it's just a great way to get them like really competitive for the tournament and want to win. So this is a great opportunity to model good behavior for the winning and losing, and to really teach them to not be obnoxious or vulgar when they're playing. You definitely gotta like stop the kids whenever they decide they're gonna try and talk like a YouTuber. That's happened a lot. Anyway, moving on with recommended consoles. So if you're wanting to start your own club, these are some that I recommend. First off, like any Nintendo console, GameCube, Nintendo Wii, Nintendo Switch, those are all great consoles. They're very durable. My Nintendo GameCube has gone through a whole lot, and my Switch, and my own Switch that we've had some kids drop it several times and it's worked just fine. Some great games for that would be Super Smash Bros. And Mario Kart. These are games, most Nintendo games are family friendly, which is definitely what we want. And Nintendo made a new series called Splatoon. Splatoon is a great replacement for the third-person shooter tournaments. I cannot tell you how many times I have had kids come up to me and ask, Miss Haley, when can we do a Fortnite tournament? And my answer is always like, we can't, because I do not want to deal with parents getting mad at me for playing violent video games in the library. Mm-hmm. It's just at mine, I can't get away with that. So Splatoon is a good substitute for that nice competitive system. So I'm looking forward to when I'm to host a Splatoon tournament. I would also recommend Sony PlayStation. There's a lot of great games with amazing graphics and such. Rocket League would be a great one. This one is very popular because a lot of YouTubers play it, but basically you're playing soccer with rocket-fueled cars. It is crazy, and a lot of kids would just enjoy to play it, just to experience playing it and trying it out for themselves, and others will just enjoy watching the craziness unfold. Death Square is another great one where you and a couple other people are playing at the same time and you're working together to solve these puzzles. And Portal is another amazing co-op game where you are, yes, the cake is a lie, I did see that comment. And fun fact about Portal, it is so far the only video game to be in the Library of Congress at the moment. And then also I would recommend now to try and find like one of the mini classic systems. Nintendo and Sony have developed these little miniature versions of their old consoles that have most, if not all, of their old classic games. And a lot of kids, even though like they're not great for 2-player or for an hour-long session. Like I said, a lot of kids just want to experience what these old games are like. And especially with Nintendo, Nintendo made their old video games really hard. And that was just a weird mindset that they had that like, well, people aren't going to buy it if they're so easy to beat. So a lot of times, like if we're playing Super Mario or the old Legend of Zelda, then I'll put a timer on and I gotta see, and we'll see how long, which kid can last the longest in one of those games, and it's just really fun for them to experience these old 8-bit graphics. All right, next up is computer games. I have a lot of kids that enjoy computer games. I do not. For those who don't know, there is a big divide among gamers. You're either a gamer or you're a PC gamer. And if you're interested in that, there's plenty of videos to explain that. My issue with PC gamers is that it's very expensive to be a PC gamer because in order to play the best games, you got to have a high performing laptop with the best graphics cards, with a computer tower that's like the size of a car engine that may or may not still work. Thankfully, though, I don't need those to run Game On. I just have like these old Dell laptops that are probably from 2016, if I'm being generous. And they're able to run these two games fairly well. So first off, I definitely think I am recommending Minecraft. Minecraft is super popular. It is simple to play and it is easy to pick up and learn. There are two versions of Minecraft, and you'll just debate which one you want. I have the Java edition, and my library we bought 5 accounts for kids who can't afford or their parents just won't let them have a Minecraft account. The Java edition is the original version of the game and is great for installing mods and playing on big multiplayer servers. That's what a lot of kids want to do when they play Minecraft. When they come to Game On, is they want to get on the servers and play all these different mini games. Their favorite is like doing a murder mystery. Is so fun to play those types of games. And the other edition of Minecraft is the Bedrock edition, and this one is basically its strong point is that if you play Minecraft on Xbox, then you'll be able to log in onto the computer and have your same account and all that. It's multi-platform is what it's called. The second game would be Roblox. Roblox is a simple game. It's available on smartphones and tablets, and it's an online platform that enables its millions of users to create and share their own 3D games and experience using custom tools. This would be a great thing if you want to teach your kids coding, or like I said, like my library likes to do a lot of coding activities, so Roblox would be something we would use. So this is a free-to-play game, which is definitely something you want to look into. There are like purchases. I've never had any issues with kids buying anything. You still have as much fun without buying anything as being free. So I've made a lot of library accounts on Roblox. And the great thing is that this has a lot of safety features. The best thing is if you make an account and the user is under 13 years old, then they censor words in chat and make sure that they don't see anything inappropriate, prevents them from going into, if someone made like a very inappropriate game. So if I ever make an account for the library, I make the user 8, so that way you have a little bit of time before I have to go back in and try and turn the safety features on again. But of course, sadly, this isn't foolproof. There's still going to be some things to look out for online, but so far I haven't had that issue. A lot of times whenever we do Roblox and Game On, they want to play with one another in the same room, they'll get on the same server together. So far that's been working out just fine. And with the pandemic, the shutdown, we now need to keep in mind remote play. Whenever we first went into lockdown, I definitely wanted to keep Game On going and try to get the kids at home to not feel isolated and such. But there was a lot of things to think about, like, internet systems and online subscriptions. A lot of games and platforms, you have to pay a subscription to, like, a PlayStation, I believe for 6 months it's like $30, and not everyone can afford that. So I had to try and find games that virtually the teens and students didn't have to pay a thing in order to join. So my first recommendation would be the Jackbox Party Pack. This is across all kinds of different platforms on tablet, computer, PlayStation 4, all kinds. And it's basically, there's like 7 different packs, and they all have different mini games like Pictionary, making your own T-shirt, role models. There's all kinds, and they're all a blast to play with friends. I had a lot of game nights virtually during lockdown, and we played Jackbox Party Pack, and it helped get through a lot. And the great thing is that you only have to buy this game once. You can stream it on a computer to other people, and then they can go on their phone, type in the website and the code that's given, and y'all play together. And that's definitely what you want to look for in remote play. Another one that definitely got popular during the pandemic is Among Us. It is a free game that can be found on iPhones and tablets, and they're also it's on Switch now too, and definitely has become, my library has hosts numerous Among Us servers to play during remotely. The great thing about it is that it gives you a chance to make your own server, and only people who have the link can join, so that way you don't get any creepy people coming on. My last suggestion is a web browser, not web browser, but web-based website called Tabletopia. It is an online database that has access to all different kinds of board games virtually. You can make an account, and the best thing is you can make an account and be free, and you'll only have like maybe access to about 70% of the material on there. To get all the access to the games, you gotta pay. But like I said, it's still a good amount, and you can, again, make your own server, so that way people you want are the only ones joining. So that's another great option. Now let's talk about VR. For those who don't know, VR is virtual reality, and it is a very immersive experience in gaming, giving you an opportunity to experience all kinds of giving you a chance to just experience a whole lot. Now VR has definitely come a long way. I know, like some of the first VRs in the last decade, you'd need to have like a $900 computer with the tower being about like the size of a car engine, and you need to have you need like 20 cords, 3 different cameras in order for it to run properly. And it might even not still work because your computer just got outdated. And so they've slowly gotten a lot better with having less cords and in order to play. So the recommended headsets that I use. So I use the Sony PlayStation VR for my Game On program. It works very well. You have just one cord, and you just connect it to your PlayStation, and you're able to play all these amazing VR games. It does have a camera, and for the longest time, like, the Sony PlayStation VR was the more affordable option, because a lot of like the Oculus series, they were like $600, and Sony made about a $300 headset to add on to your PlayStation. And the thing that's really cool is, now that we have made the PlayStation 5, you can still use the same VR headset for the PlayStation 5. You just contact Sony, and they'll send you an adapter, so it will hook up to the PlayStation 5, which I greatly admire. Next recommendation is Oculus Quest 2. This is on my own personal wish list. I want to own one personally. This is fully wireless. no cords, and you don't need a computer. That is what I am more excited about. You just download a game on a phone, tablet, uh, and then it connects on the internet, Bluetooth, and you can just go on the go, play in VR. And the crazy thing is that this is only $300, which is insane for a completely wireless VR headset. So VR has definitely become more affordable and over the years. Another option would be the Oculus Go. That's also wireless, and it's definitely great for an immersive experience. The only thing is that you don't have like the great controls that make you feel like you're actually using your hands. You're actually given a little remote to use, and that's for as a gamer, that's not what you really want with the VR. But of course, I understand like if you don't want to drop hundreds of dollars to try out VR. So there are the options of like the smartphone VRs. There are numerous things, and they range from like $10 to $70. My library, we have used these cardboard ones. You just stick your smartphone in here, and there's numerous YouTube videos and apps that you can run. My children's librarian had used the cardboard VRs for her preschool story time or kindergarten story time once. She used it to sort of go on a virtual field trip to a farm, since a lot of kids like just haven't been to a farm, so they were able to like see what all the farm animals and such.
There's a question, Haley, about the Oculus.
Yeah.
Let's see, it says, with Facebook accounts being so difficult to create dummies of that won't get deleted for lack of use, how can Oculus hardware be set up in libraries in any great quantity? And Sean said, the last he checked, only expensive business editions of Facebook VR hardware will remain free of Facebook account requirement, but he hopes he's wrong. What are your thoughts on that one?
Let's see. I'm trying to think because, well, like I use VR pretty regularly in my programming. And like I would just sort of like make a, because I think you would only need to make one account. So there's no need to make a bunch of dummy ones. Let's see. Difficult to create. I'm just reading it over again. Remain free. Yeah, so I had looked that up, and so like I would just make like a specific Game On library or gaming Facebook account in order to make the VR account you need. So far, but I hadn't heard any more about that.
So then,
anyway,
multiple VR units can be used simultaneously under one Facebook account.
Oh, well, my only thing is like I don't see why you would need more than one headset. Because I was actually just about to talk about like multiplayer, but with one headset.
All right, have at it. That'll probably answer it.
Yes. So obviously with VR, like it's so expensive. Even though it is affordable, I definitely do kind of recommend you just buy one headset, especially just to get started. So the big question is, how can you do like multiplayer or do like all kinds of different things with just one headset? So there are a bunch of games that are great with doing multiplayer with just one headset. First one here, as you see, is called Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. Now this game is available on all kinds of different platforms, but I think it works best in VR. The person in the VR headset is in front of a bomb, and they've got to try and defuse it. However, they clearly don't know how to defuse a bomb. So they need players outside the VR in order to help them. They have the instructions, and the teams have to communicate with one another. So the person working with the bomb will say, I've got like 6 wires here, and they're like green, red, and yellow. What should I do? And the people outside VR will read and they'll see what they need to do with certain color combinations, and they'll say, oh, the red one third from the bottom or something like that. They just got to constantly be talking with each other to try to figure it out. Another great one would be to use the tilt brush. This is basically an app in VR where you are making 3D models in Paint, essentially. So I've seen a lot of people use this app game to basically play Pictionary. So you can have the VR person draw, make something, and then everyone else has to try and guess what they're making. And my favorite one that my Game On kids like is the PlayStation VR, Playroom VR. This is only available on the PlayStation, and it's a free game that comes along with the PlayStation VR. It is basically just to show off the hardware, but the great thing about it is that there's these little mini games, and there's a person in the VR, and then you need to have at least 2 other players. You can have up to 4 playing alongside you in order to play. So the kids that I have, their favorite one to do is like monster, what we call the monster one. So the person in the VR is the monster, and they're destroying the town by bashing their head into all these buildings. And so you can have up to 4 other people play the little superhero robots that are trying to stop the monster. And so that's a great way to get a whole lot of people involved. So even though all the kids obviously want to try out the VR, this gives them opportunity to be like, yes, I also want to try and beat the person in the VR as well. Some other great games to get started with that are great for problem solving. First up, it would be Job Simulator. It is a weird game where apparently this is in the distant future where humans are no longer a thing and robots are now in control, and they have a museum where you experience what working is like, where you're an office worker, a cook, or a engineer. So you're given like these weird tasks, and you've got to complete them in the strangest ways, like make a copy of anything in your office, something like that. So this is also another game that's popular because of YouTubers, people streaming it. So I like to put a timer on to give the kids about 7 minutes in VR, and they got to complete as many tasks as they can in that 7 minutes. And then when that 7 minutes up, I switch to the next one, and we just keep count and just have like a fun time of experience this VR, a very immersive VR experience, and having fun. Another great one is I Expect You to Die. This is basically a intense escape room simulator where you're in a dangerous room where a bomb or a poisonous gas can kill you. And so there's a lot of things that can go wrong. And so people who aren't in the VR headset actually playing, the other people need to watch and learn from the person playing their mistakes, what they didn't do, what they did do, and they need to try and formulate their own strategy. So that is a great game to get people to start thinking and coming up with their strategy when it's their turn. And this is a good way to keep them all engaged. And now with October coming around, a lot of kids do want to play scary games. Definitely whenever October comes around, I definitely want to try and keep a spooky Halloween theme. The only problem is a lot of horror games are very gory and bloody and say a lot of curse words, and trying to keep it family friendly at the library. So thankfully in VR, there's a great game that is terrifying, and it's called Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted. This has like the 3 big Five Nights at Freddy's games, and if those who don't know, it is a game where you're in basically a demonic version of Chuck E. Cheese, where you're a security guard, and you're there for 6 hours, but you're really only there for 6 minutes, and you're trying to conserve your energy so that way the animatronics don't get you, and if they get you, it's just a flat jump scare, and it goes to black. This is a great game for taking turns and I love seeing it whenever I get some of the older boys just like, I'm not scared, I'm going to be able to beat this, and then their voice goes a octave higher than it normally would. It is a fun game to watch, and as is the theme here, this is a game that got popular because of YouTubers. So a lot of kids, even if they don't want to play it, they will love to watch others play it. I can't tell you how many times I've had kids rooting for me to play and to watch me get scared. All right, so it looks like my slides aren't going to do the. I had a bunch of images here that would flash up. But anyway, I'll just have to list them off here.
Sorry about that.
It's all right. So VR is a great way to have games that are to get up and move essentially, because with video gamers we got that stigma of like, oh, we just sit on the couch all day doing nothing, just button mashing. So these are some VR games that are great for getting up and moving. You can't see it, but anyway, there's a game called The Climb, and it's basically a simulation of a rock climbing, where you see all these amazing outdoor things, like you're climbing on a ledge or climbing up a mountain. And there's also a bit of strategy involved, because with rock climbing, there's a bit of like a strategy of like where you need to place your hands and how you can move so you don't use up more stamina than you need. I rock climb on the side a little bit, but I'll never be able to actually climb on the side of a mountain. So the climb is a great way for me to visualize and to experience what it would look like if I were able to actually be that physically fit to rock climb on the side of a mountain. There's also the Beat Sabers, which that's always common when talking about VR. Beat Saber is always brought up, and that's basically a rhythm game where you're hitting these blocks based on a musical score. It's great for taking turns. You got like a 4-minute song, it's over, and you go to the next kid. And then there's a game called Richie's Plank Experience. I scoffed at this game because it's $14 on Steam and PlayStation, and I'm just like, $14 to experience being on the edge of a plank on a side of a building is what the game looks like. But then I looked more into it, and I saw that it actually has a lot of potential. It'd be a great game to do like a test of courage type thing. And I've seen people actually make their own like physical version of a plank to put on the floor, only like barely an inch off the ground. And actually make it feel like they're on a plank. And then there's other modes where you're flying onto different buildings, taking out fire, shooting down missiles, superhero simulator basically. So I think that'd be great. And this image that you can see here is called Vader Immortal. I think this game came out in 2020. Is a VR Star Wars game where you're a smuggler and you run into Darth Vader and you find out you have force sensitivity. Anyway, you're playing it for the dojo, which is the image you're seeing now, where you're practicing your lightsaber, attacking droids and deflecting blasters. And being in VR, it is the most immersive Star Wars game I have yet played, and it feels so satisfying, like deflecting the blasters, and it feels like you're it feels like you are actually doing it. So it is a great Star Wars game. And again, like the games that provide an experience, similar issue. So the first game I would recommend is there's one called Wander that's available on the Oculus, and it is basically a VR it's basically Google Street View, but you're in VR. So I spend a lot of time in Google Street Views, but now you're it feels like you're actually on the streets. So you can teleport anywhere in the world, walk across London Bridge, stroll gardens in Taj Mahal, witness the Great Pyramids, be great for like field trip exploration. There's also another game called National Graphics VR, where you are actually actively actively traveling to the Antarctica or Machu Picchu in Peru. And the cool thing that I really like about it is that you, like I said, you are actively working towards exploring. Like in the Antarctica, you see that you're kayaking the icy cold waters, or Machu Picchu, you're walking up the mountain. Um, most of us probably would never get to visit the Antarctica, so it's a great experience to have. There's another game called Jurassic World VR. It's free on the Oculus, and it's basically you are walking through the Jurassic Park from Jurassic World. Um, while you know the Jurassic Park isn't like 100% accurate with the dinosaurs, it still could be an amazing experience to witness, to sort of feel like these dinosaurs are next to you, to see how big they are next to you and seeing them interact with one another. It can provide a great experience for kids who just love dinosaurs. And lastly, there's two games, Apollo 11 and Titanic VR. A lot of times these two games are bundled together, and they have over 8 hours of gameplay. So in the Apollo 11, you become Neil Armstrong and you travel to the moon, and you can even take control of the spacecraft for the docking and the landing and doing like the lunar operations. And I do believe like they worked really hard to recreate the actual like radio contact that actually happened during the mission. And then in the Titanic one, you dive down to the bottom of the ocean and you're exploring the shipwreck of the Titanic. So you're finding these artifacts, and then that helps create like a documentary. And the image that you are able to see with that, you're able to actually like sort of be on the Titanic and watch the tragedy unfold. Both of these games are an immersive virtual reality, and they've both have won multiple awards for what's called the VR Educational Studios. And those two games are like the best examples of video game education that can turn a mundane history lesson into a very engaging and emotional story. But anyway, so that's about all that I have. Part of my presentation, there's a handout with all the games listed on them. If you have any questions, I think I got some time.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I'm gonna pull up your drive too, since your hard work got gypped here. She has images of all the games, and yeah, so it's worth looking at the PowerPoint and the G Drive. So I'll pull that up for y'all and give you the link. At the end of the conference too, I will be sending this out again, just so you have it. But there's Haley's things right now. I know there were some questions earlier from Rich was asking a couple of things. What are your thoughts on the upcoming Steam Deck?
I actually haven't seen the Steam Deck, so I don't think I have any thoughts of that.
And then he said COD is all, or Fortnite, same kind of gameplay with Splatoon. Oh, you already talked about that in the case.
Yeah. At my library, I would love to, well, I don't know if I'd love to host a Fortnite, but I think it would be fun to do that. But I just know at my library, I'd get a lot of parents who would not like that.
Okay. And have you ever tried hosting a library server?
I haven't. I have been very interested to try and host a library server, and I've tried looking into that. So far, it hasn't panned out, but I'm still trying to figure out all the logistics for that myself.
Yeah. Sean is asking, has anyone here had experience administrating multiple Steam accounts for use in libraries? I suspect parental controls would work to limit the options on patron accessible accounts, but I don't know anything from experience.
Yeah, I have made one like library Steam account whenever a couple years ago we got an Oculus and I was trying to run it on a laptop at the library, and I made a library dummy account on Steam. Let's see. And I didn't do much with it. Sorry.
No, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I haven't done much with Steam because, like I said, I'm not much of a PC gamer. Uh, so I've stayed clear from a lot of that. But I don't think on Steam parental controls are so great because I have a 16-year-old brother and he tries to limit um, like the inappropriate stuff still comes up on his, even though he has it marked, "Don't show me
Hmm.
this," and it still comes up.
Hmm. Let's see. For your Game On program, do you have more teens or tweens? And do you have a consistent attendance or does it vary?
Yeah, I'm most of the time I get tweens. It very much varies. I'll get some younger ones, and every now and then I'll get a couple of like 16-year-olds. And I'll get about average around 10 each week,
Mhm.
which for teenage boys, that is a great number.
For sure.
Um, uh, so yeah, it's pretty consistent. And I'll a lot of times get the same group, and it will vary between I'll get one new family or two new families.
Okay. Let's see. Logan says Fortnite Creative has potential for use in engineering or historical applications,
Ooh.
rebuilding famous or important architectural works, perhaps.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Definitely, uh, like doing like a coding program. Um, like I said, I might have to like talk to some people at my library if I can actually start introducing Fortnite. I don't have anything against Fortnite personally, but less drama the better.
Hoops to jump through, sister.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions? Or you guys definitely have Haley's um, contact information, and I can hook you up with her later too if you can't find it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what was the other thing? You guys can jump on Discord and just chew the fat or something.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for having me.
Haley, thank you so, so much. That was a ton of information to process,
Mm-hmm.
and just thank you for walking us through it. Yeah, awesome presentation across. Well, you could see the chat, so there you go.
Yeah.
Accolades to you by far. Thank you, guys, and we're done with this session. You're welcome to stick around. Willie's going to be back with us here, and then we have one more session in room 2. Ashley Sims is going to be talking about anime. And if you don't know much about it or are too afraid to ask, it's a way to go. But that would be another place to chew the fat and enjoy each other's company. We did have a program in room 3, but we had to pull it down. Our presenter's father ended up in the hospital with COVID, and he's doing badly. So we'll get a webinar from her later. She was going to present on fandoms, and I'll get her back. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Haley, especially for all the work you did. That was amazingly great. Goodbye, and thanks, everyone. And I'll put the links up to the different rooms again so you can have them and bounce where you want.